when I really got into hip hop real heavy was when Run DMC came out in '83. When I really was like, okay, this is really what I'm about.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was just like, okay, I'm a guy that just happens to know what this stuff is.
Mm.
Like when Tom Tom Club was the biggest record in the world,
Mm.
in certain environments, I was the man that knew that, oh, there's another version called The Genius of Love by Grandmaster Flash. You should check that out.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew all that kind of stuff. So I just always had a basic knowledge. And then when scratching became more and more in songs,
Mm-hmm.
Grandmaster Flash, once again, had a record called Girls Love the Way He Spins.
Mm.
And they were scratching the Earth, Wind, Fire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also scratching, That's a Fire, the Eddie Murphy thing.
Oh.
And he was scratching, my grandma and your grandma, sitting by, all this stuff. And I was like, oh man, I know what all these things are. You know what I mean? I know what these scratches sound. I know what they come from.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I didn't, I at least knew them in my memory. Like, oh, I know that from playing around the house. You know what I mean? So that was another thing, you know. And by then I was trying to learn how to scratch, like, which is, you know, there was times my mom and dad used to break up all the time. And so it was always besides being back and forth in the military, my mom and dad were constantly breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would live, you know, in different situations like that too. And she had a Montgomery Ward turntable. And it was like the old knob thing. You just put the record, you know, it had the tape deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd put the record on and use the knob. And I don't know how I knew that you were supposed to use a volume. I don't know how I learned that.
Mm.
Someone must have showed me and I forgot the guy's name or something. You know what I mean? But I don't know how I figured it out. But I used to try to record that, but you couldn't record the volume.
Right.
So that was always weird to me. And so I started trying to learn like that. And when I played Sucker MCs one time, I went, bah, 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 crack, crack, kip it, crack, crack, kip it. I was like, holy shit. I just did a Jam Master Jay thing.
Like I just did it. Yeah,
I just did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I think that was the first official drug. I think since then, if I had to guess, it's been just all consuming at some point or another, you know? And being able to do that and then kind of showing a couple guys and them going, whoa, you know, that acceptance thing.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, my mom got back with my dad, you know, he had a mixer, but he used to have the old disco mixer, and they didn't have headphones. They didn't have a cue.
But did it have a fader? Or it just had
it just had the
like
up
slide,
and down.
yeah.
Yep, no fader. Yep. I think it had a knob too.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Premier still cuts like that.
Oh yeah, like that.
Like he still cuts with that. Like
Yeah,
not
so do I.
Yeah.
So do I.
Oh, you do still cut like that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I barely use the crossfader.
Mm.
Yeah, just because I'd never learned like that.
Mm.
And you know what's funny, when transforming became a style, the old realistic mixers had this little switch.
Yeah.
And I thought that's how you did it. I didn't know that, like, because Jazzy Jeff can do a crossfader, but I'm like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So I used to use a switch. That's how I learned.
Those things break if you do that though.
Yeah, it's funny because they actually, to this day, I still have my thumb is still kind of hardened because I would just with that little switch, and it was like the hard switch, and so I did that for like 5-6 years, like that style. So now everything I do is backwards because I learned backwards.
Uh-huh.
I learned backwards with the switch thing, and I learned, and the way I had this turntable set, I didn't have a crossfader,
Mm-hmm.
so everything is different.
But a lot of great ones do that though.
Yeah, you know, you just learn. It's how you learn and what you learn, and
I always think about it like playing the guitar left-handed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Jimi Hendrix played the guitar upside down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't know they had left-handed guitars, so he just learned how to do it with the other hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Budget had a lot to do with stuff back then.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have money a lot of times.
At that time, you couldn't convince your parents that you were a musician.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you played the cello or the trumpet or the guitar or something like that was being a musician.
Dude, yeah.
Like if you were doing music, like if you were messing with hip hop, then you were just breaking their equipment. Yeah.
But my dad was a little hip because he was the first one to really show me, like, he was like, you know, a record was playing, and he's like, You hear that? What instrument is that? And I was like, I'm not sure. He's like, oh, that's scratching. But he thought it was done like with the needle, like that. He was like, I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay, interesting. But when I started practicing all the time, a little later on, I remember when I was like 16 or something, I'd be in there practicing whatever, and he'd go, damn, man, sound like a chainsaw in there. Damn, boy, turn that shit down. That type of thing.
Yeah.
But here's the funniest part. So I started being able to do like DST's routine, which is Rocket and Wild Style, Time Zone Wild Style. Jam Master Jay, I could do his routine, and I practiced them every day. And one time he had his buddies over, and it was like some young GIs. Like he was a sergeant by then. This is the 80s. So he's a sergeant. So he has privates and stuff that are like brand new to the military. Has them over the house for drinks, talking shit or whatever, trying to act cool, making up stories. And he goes, oh man, you guys want to check out my son? Check this dude out, man. Watch this, man. He goes, hey Tony. I was like, yeah. He goes, hey, do one of them things you do, man. He's like, let these cats check it out. And I was like, all right. And I know, because they're young brothers and shit, you know what I mean? Like, they're like 20 years old. They're going to know what I'm about to do. They have no idea what's coming, you know what I mean? And I'm going to break out the Wild Style routine. And they're like, yo, holy shit. They're tripping.
Dope.
And my dad was like, oh yeah, is that good? Kind of, but like playing it off like, yeah. Because he never would give credit or props or anything. Ever. But so that moment was fond to me. I bet you that sparked 20 years worth of my career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That had to have. Because it was like the only time I think he's ever been like, he didn't say I'm proud of you, but he was like, yo, showing these young guys, and he's getting accepted.
He's getting points from the young
guys
because of you,
because of me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, that was a moment. It was definitely a moment, and it happened a few more times after that. But there was nothing like that first time. That first time was like, and then I think it gave me confidence. Like, oh, I can actually do something that not a lot of people can do. And so, I was off to the races then.